A good friend of mine that I work with came up to me one day and he said, "Joe, I need some help." And I said, "Well, they have people for that. And I think our insurance even covers it." He said, "No, not that kind of help. I have a fantasy football league that my family does every year. And we've always thought it'd be cool to have some kind of traveling trophy that can go with the winner every year. Could you print one with your 3D printer?" I absolutely can. So my friend's son happens to have experience with 3D modeling software. So he threw together a model and sent it over to me. And here it is. Now it does look cool, but I don't think there's any arguing that it could be more exciting. And my friend didn't argue with that either. He said, "If you want to tweak it, go for it." So I did. First thing I did was cut off the back end of the base so that it would have a flat back because that's the way I plan to print it. I also replaced the football. This one kind of looks like Tom Brady got a hold of it. It looks a little deflated. And number two, if this were just the M, it would be cool, but not really telling as to what it was. So I asked my friend, should we put some words on it? And he wanted it to be sort of the initials of his family and labeling that it's the fantasy football trophy. So bam. And while I was putting words on the front, I wanted the winner each year to be able to personalize it a bit. So I created a cutout and a window in the very front that would allow for the winner to write their name on a piece of paper and slot it right in. Now, at this point in the process, you may be saying to yourself, "Hey, wait a second, this is an NFL Fantasy League trophy. Why is it a University of Michigan logo?" And that's a great question. So I ended up replacing the football with a different model. And I'll be honest with you, I cheated. It's a pre-built model, but it's far better than anything I'd be able to do on my own. So we get to use it. Now, because we were printing it flat on its back, just like this, so that we could get the words on the front of it properly, what I decided to do was use a peg system to attach the football. This meant the football would have to be printed separately, but that was actually a good thing in the end because it gave an easy excuse to print it in a separate color. So the football was able to be printed in brown, just like a real football. And on the football, there is a hole. Now the hole corresponds with another hole that lives in the base of the trophy. So with the help of a 3D printed peg in the form of a cylinder, we can put one end of the peg inside of the football, put the other end of the peg inside of the base of the trophy, and it stays in place with the help of a little Gorilla Glue. Now, if we're adding pizzazz to this thing, we might as well go all the way, right? So I had the idea to do a color change for the lettering of the trophy. That way the trophy itself could be this beautiful navy blue color, and the wording could be this yellow color, which some of you may be upset with me if I don't refer to it as maize. Maize and blue University of Michigan trophy for the NFL Fantasy Football League winner. So I loaded the model of the trophy into the slicer, which is the software that preps the model for 3D printing. I added a pause in so it could wait for the color change. That way it can swap from blue to yellow. And I set it off to the races. It was looking great. I let it go all night. It came up nice and flat. There were no imperfections in it whatsoever until that fateful moment where I ran out of the blue filament. Unfortunately, I wasn't home when this occurred, so I wasn't able to watch for it to happen and make adjustments and maybe even pause the print ahead of time so I'd be able to get new filament and put it inside. So it missed roughly the last 20 layers of the blue. My printer doesn't have a sensor on it that will tell it when it's out of filament, so when it runs out, it just keeps going like nothing's wrong because it doesn't have a way to know. This project was a gentle reminder that I should probably look into getting such a sensor. Instead of coming home and changing the color to yellow and letting it finish up on its own, I had no choice but to cancel the print where it was and make adjustments. So I really had two options to get around this issue. Number one, I could just reprint the whole thing from scratch, but that's a lot of filament. It's redoing a lot of work that didn't need to be redone, and it takes a long time. So my second option was to cut off the part that already printed from the model and just print the last few layers with the color change. And that's exactly what I did. I went back into my slicer and I created a negative box and I scaled it to where it would cover up the part that we didn't need to print anymore, moved it around to line it up correctly, and I got it lined up just right So anything under this dark box would be no longer part of the model, and anything above it would be part of the model. If I were to print it just like that in its place, then it would obviously be trying to print that last little bit in the middle of the air, which doesn't work. So all I had to do was grab both the trophy itself and the negative cube, slide it down until it was just onto the print bed, and then slice up that. So it would completely ignore the rest of the trophy, which at this point is underneath the print bed and not printable, and it would just go through and print this final little bit. Now, I did get lucky that the top of the hole where the paper is supposed to go was the first layer that failed. And it gave me a really easy mark to go reprint from. I just went from that gap. So I resliced the model with only what we needed left, and it was good to go. I had plenty of filament this time on account of buying an entirely new roll. And then we had the matter of attaching the nameplate to the front. I went for the old school way of just using good old glue. I glued the front of the trophy to the base of the trophy. I sanded it out so that the seam would be as smooth as it could be. Then I grabbed that peg that I printed for the football, put it inside of the football, again with the help of our friend Mr. Gorilla Glue, and I presented the trophy to my friend, who was just so excited. And I know he's watching this video, and so is the rest of his family, because he promised me they would. So to all those people, I can simply say,
hello there.
And hey, thanks for having me help out with this project. It was really cool to work on, and thanks for letting this be my first video. Just do me a favor and make sure Matt doesn't get the trophy for a while. And I appreciate the hell out of all of you who watched this video. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up down below. It would really mean a lot to me. Make sure you subscribe so you know about the next one, and I look forward to seeing you there.